What does it take to become the youngest Nobel Prize winner in history? For Malala Yousafzai, it meant defying the odds, standing up to extremism, and changing the world, all before turning 18. Born on July 12, 1997, in Mingora, a city in Pakistan's Swat Valley, Malala grew up surrounded by the lush beauty of her homeland, but also under the growing shadow of the Taliban rule. Even as a child, she was fiercely passionate about education, inspired by her father, who not only ran a local school, but was also a vocal advocate for education and women's rights. His unwavering activism often placed their family at odds with rising extremist influences, but it also ignited Malala's determination to speak out and fight for change. Little did the world know, this young girl from a small town would soon become a global symbol of courage and the fight for girls' rights to education. The Swat Valley, often referred to as the Switzerland of the East, is a place of breathtaking natural beauty, with lush green hills, flowing rivers, and snow-capped peaks. But beneath this serene landscape lies a history marked by turmoil. The scars left by the Taliban's influence remain visible, not just in the damaged infrastructure, but in the memories of those who lived through it. These recent photos from Google Maps, uploaded by volunteers, shows a landscape that has begun to heal. The valley tells a story of resilience. The land and its spirited citizens do not give up and continually rebuild their homes and hearts, standing as a testament to the enduring strength of those who call this remarkable place home. Uncovering the exact details of what transpired in Swat Valley during late 2008 was no small task. According to the Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, vast areas of land in the federally administered tribal areas and Swat Valley fell under Taliban control. This shift was reportedly part of a strategic move by Pakistan expert to pressure Western powers following the Mumbai attacks, a decision that inadvertently strengthened the Taliban's foothold. Just days later, on December 24th, they had attacked a Chinese engineer and his security guard in Dargai. These actions highlight the atmosphere of fear and oppression that engulfed the region, setting the stage for the challenges Malala and her community would face. By late December 2008, the Taliban and SWAT announced a blanket ban on female education and warned teachers of severe consequences for defiance. However, while some reports suggest this ban took immediate effect, it wasn't fully enforced until January 15, 2009. This clarification is important, as it sets the timeline for the diary entries Malala would begin to write shortly after, documenting the growing oppression and her resistance to it. Malala's courage didn't emerge in isolation. It was deeply inspired by her father, Zawdin Yousafzai. A passionate activist for education and women's rights, Zawdin was unafraid to speak out against the Taliban. Even as the risks to himself and his family grew, his unwavering dedication to the cause set an example for Malala and gave her the platform to find her own voice.
Demanding to know when their valley will be safe enough to return to. Most of these men are feudal landlords who have received death threats, and so has Zawdin. Back in May, he criticized the militants at a press conference, and a Taliban commander called for his life on the radio. Zawdin is so obsessed with the restoration of Swat that at times he forgets about his other job, being a father.
In September 2008, Zawdin took Malala to the local press club in Peshawar. At just 11 years old, she delivered an impassioned speech titled, "How Dare the Taliban Take Away My Basic Right to Education?" Her words, both brave and heartfelt, captured the attention of local media and marked the beginning of her public advocacy. This moment at the press club wasn't just a turning point for Malala. It set the stage for her to document her experiences. Just a few months later, she began writing a diary under the pseudonym Gul Makai for the BBC Urdu service, chronicling the Taliban's ban on girls' education and the fear gripping her community. Her entries offered a rare and courageous glimpse into the life in Swat Valley, inspiring readers around the world. The following is an untranscribed version of that interview, as I could not find the English translation. However, I believe it provides important context, being able to see and hear her.
आपको अपना फ्यूचर मुस्तकबिल कैसा नजर आ रहा है?
जी, हमारे स्कूल जो है वो यकम अगस्त से खुल चुके हैं और हम यानी इस बात से बहुत ज़्यादा खुश है कि 3 महीने हम स्कूल से दूर रहे और आप ये समझ लीजिए कि 2 साल हम स्कूल सही तरीके से नहीं गए। हेलीकॉप्टर की आवाज़ें, शेलिंग, लोगों के दिलों में खौफ, कर्फ्यू लगना, बीच में तालिबान ने स्कूल बंद किया, फिर खोल दिए, फिर बंद हुए, तो मतलब ये 2 साल बिल्कुल ज़ाया हुए। और अभी मैं ये उम्मीद रखती हूँ कि इंशाल्लाह ऐसा फिर ना हो, लेकिन अभी बच्चों को बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स है। जब वो रास्ते में आते हैं तो रात को टीवी पे कुछ और दिखा जाता है कि इतनी इतनी नरमी होगी कर्फ्यू में, लेकिन जब सुबह बच्चे आते तो उनको बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम होते हैं। रिक्शों पर बैन है वहाँ पे, तो यानी हमें वहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स है।
आपको बड़े होके क्या बनना है?
मुझे पॉलिटिशियन बनना है।
आपको पॉलिटिशियन बनना है?
जी।
अच्छा, पॉलिटिशियन बन के क्या करेंगी आप?
ये मुल्क जो है ये बहुत ज्यादा क्राइसिस से भरा है, बहुत ज्यादा क्राइसिस है इसमें। तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि ये जो लेजीनेस है ना हमारी गवर्नमेंट्स में, लेजी लेजी रहती है, कुछ करती नहीं, मैं चाहती हूँ कि ये थोड़ी फिट हो।
I managed to find some of the diary entries still archived on the BBC Urdu website. I will read the remaining entries to you now. Saturday, January 3rd. I am afraid. I had a terrible dream yesterday with the military helicopters and the Taliban. I have had such dreams since the launch of the military operation in Swat. My mother made me breakfast, and I went off to school. I was afraid going to school because the Taliban had issued an edict banning all girls from attending schools. Only 11 students attended the class out of 27. The number deceased because of the Taliban's edict. My 3 friends have shifted to Peshawar, Lahore, Rawalpindi with their families after this edict. On my way home from school, I heard a man saying, "I will kill you." I hastened my pace, and after a while I looked back if the man was still coming behind me. But to my utter relief, he was talking on his mobile and must have been threatening someone else over the phone. Sunday, January 4th. I have to go to school. Today is a holiday, and I woke up late, around 10 a.m. I heard my father talking about another 3 bodies lying at Green Chalk. I felt bad hearing this news. Before the launch of the military operation, we all used to go to Margasar, Fizagat, and Kanju for picnics on Sundays. But now the situation is such that we have not been out for a picnic for over a year and a half. We used to go for a walk after dinner, but now we are back home before sunset. Today I did some household chores, my homework, and played with my brother. But my heart was beating fast, as I have to go to school tomorrow. Monday, January 5th. Do not wear colorful dresses. I was getting ready for school and about to wear my uniform when I remembered that our principal had told us not to wear uniforms and come to school wearing normal clothes instead. So I decided to wear my favorite pink dress. Other girls in school were also wearing colorful dresses, and the school presented a homely look. My friend came to me and said, "For God's sake, answer me honestly. Is the school going to be attacked by the Taliban?" During the morning assembly, we were told not to wear colorful clothes, as the Taliban would object to it. I came back from school and had tuition sessions after lunch. In the evening, I switched on the TV and heard that the curfew had been lifted from Shakardra after 15 days. I was happy to hear that because our English teacher lived in the area and she might be coming to school now. Wednesday, January 7th. No firing or fear. I have come to Bonaire to spend Muharram, a Muslim holiday, on vacation. I adore Bonaire because of its mountains and lush green fields. My Swat is also very beautiful, but there is no peace. But in Bonaire there is peace and tranquility. Neither is there any firing nor any fear. We are all very happy. Today we went to Pur Baba Mausoleum and there were lots of people there. People are here to pray while we are here for an excursion. There are shops selling bangles, earrings, lockets, and other artificial jewelry. I thought of buying something, but nothing impressed. My mom bought earrings and bangles. Friday, January 9th. The Malana goes on leave. Today at school, I told my friends about my trip to Bonaire. They said that they were sick and tired of hearing the Bonaire story. We discussed the rumors about the death of the Malana Shah Dahran, who used to give speeches on the FM radio. He was the one who announced the ban on girls attending school. Some girls said that he was dead, but others disagreed. The rumors of his death are circulating because he did not deliver a speech the night before on FM radio. One girl said that he had gone on leave. Since there was no tuition on Friday, I played the whole afternoon. I switched on the TV in the evening and heard about the blasts in Lahore. I said to myself, why do these blasts keep happening in Pakistan? Wednesday, January 14th. I may not go to school again. I was in a bad mood while going to school because winter vacations are starting tomorrow. The principal announced the vacations but did not mention the date the school was to reopen. This was the first time this has happened. In the past, the reopening date was always announced clearly. The principal did not inform us about the reason behind not announcing the school reopening, but my guess was that the Taliban had announced a ban on girls' education from the 15th of January. This time around, the girls were not too excited about vacations because they knew if the Taliban implemented their edict, they would not be able to come to school again. Some girls were optimistic that the schools would reopen in February, but the others said that their parents had decided to shift from Swat and go to other cities for the sake of their education. Since today was the last day of our school, we decided to play in the playground a bit longer. I am of the view that the school will one day reopen, but while leaving, I looked at the building as if I would not come here again. Thursday, January 15th. Night filled with artillery fire. The night was filled with noise of artillery fire, and I woke up 3 times. But since there was no school, I got up later at 10 a.m. Afterwards, my friend came over and we discussed our homework. Today is January 15th, the last day before the Taliban's edict comes into effect, and my friend was discussing homework as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. Today, I also read the diary written for the BBC in Urdu and published in the newspaper. My mother liked my pen name, Gul Makai, and said to my father, "Why not change her name to Gul Makai? I also like the name, because my real name means grief-stricken." My father said that some days ago, someone brought the printout of this diary, saying how wonderful it was. My father said that he smiled, but could not even say that it was written by his own daughter. Following Malala's talk show appearance and subsequent diary entries, her eloquence and passion for education captivated not just viewers in Pakistan, but also American journalists. This led to her feature in the New York Times documentary, A Schoolgirl's Odyssey, a title that, in hindsight, feels oddly aged given its broader implications today.
Ultimately, we will be the winner. And the miscreants, the militants, they will be the losers. I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic
He's too much optimistic, so I don't agree with him because the leaders, the commanders of Taliban are still alive.
In this moment, Malala openly disagrees with her father, a man she deeply admires. Even as a young girl, she was secure enough to stand firm in her beliefs, showing a loyalty not only to her family, but also to her own values and convictions.
These are my notebooks. Everything is safe.
So the chickens died, but you got your books.
Yeah. I think the books are more precious.
Came.
It was always my desire before the attack that if a man comes, what would you tell him, Malala? I used to think like that. I would tell that man that I even want education for your daughter.
And you think that would work against a gun?
But I thought that words and books and pens are more powerful than gun. When I met President Obama, I told him that instead of sending books to Afghanistan, instead of sending guns and tanks and soldiers to Afghanistan, why don't you send books and pens and teachers? And I told him that this is the best way to fight terrorism.
This sense of independence and clarity of purpose would define her journey. In interviews, she often spoke of her dream to become a politician, an ambition that reflected her desire to bring meaningful change to her community and beyond.
I have a new dream. So I thought that I must be a politician to save this country.
Why did you change this dream?
Because there are so many crises in our country, so I want to remove these crises and to save my country. Now I want to become a politician, a good politician.
But this dream, like her very life, would soon come under threat. Her growing prominence made her a target for those who feared her voice, a voice they tried to silence. The New York Times documentary closed with a chilling reminder. The Taliban are still present in the Swat countryside. This stark reality loomed over Malala's courageous efforts, foreshadowing the dangers that lay ahead. For a girl who carried the weight of a nation's hope, the idea of death was paradoxically simple. As her father said,
I have a staunch belief that death has a certain time. When it comes, it comes. You can't avoid it. Death cannot be a hindrance in my struggle.
October 9, 2012 began as any other day for Malala. She boarded her school bus in the Swat Valley, surrounded by friends, laughter, and the hope that education represented for her and so many others. But as the bus made its way home, hope turned to horror. 2 men flagged the bus to stop. One of them climbed aboard, asking, "Who is Malala?" In a heartbeat, the world changed. He raised his gun and fired 3 shots. One bullet struck Malala in the head, near her left eye, passing through her neck and lodging in her shoulder. The other 2 injured her friends, Kainat and Shazia, who were seated nearby. The gunmen fled, leaving behind a scene of chaos and unimaginable pain. News of the attack spread like wildfire, shocking Pakistan and reverberating across the globe. This was no random act of violence. It was a deliberate attempt to silence the voice of a girl who dared to speak out for education. Malala was rushed to a local hospital in critical condition, where the doctors fought tirelessly to save her life. But her injuries were severe, and soon the decision was made to transfer her to a military hospital in Peshawar, later being transferred and sponsored by the UK to Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Her survival was nothing short of a miracle, but it wasn't just her life at stake. It was her mission, her voice, and the hope that she carried for millions of girls around the world. The attack that was meant to silence her would only amplify her message.
On the day when I was shot, all of my friends' faces were covered except mine.
Was that wise? It was brave, but was it wise?
At that time, I wanted to live my life as I want.
Okay, Diane. I had to break narration to comment on how ridiculous that statement was. An article written by India Today archives her perspective of the attack. Malala says she asked her friend to help her remember what happened that day. Did I scream? Did I try to run away? I ask. No, she says. You stood still and silent, staring into the face of the Talib as he called out your name. You held my hand so tightly that I felt the pain for days. He recognized you and started firing. You covered your face with your hands and tried to bend down. A second later, you fell into my lap. Two of my classmates, Shazia and Kainat, were shot in the hand and the arm. The white school bus went red with blood. My body has scars from one bullet and many surgeries. But I have no memory of that day. 9 years later, my best friend still has nightmares. The quick actions of Peshawar emergency surgeons saved my life, but soon my organs began to fail, and I was airlifted to the capital city, Islamabad. A week later, doctors determined that I needed more intense care and should be moved out of my home country to continue treatment. Malala could not recall anything from the day of the shooting until the moment she woke up at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. She says, "When I opened my eyes, I was relieved to realize I was alive, but I didn't know where I was or why I was surrounded by strangers speaking English. I had questions. What happened to me? Where is my father? Who is going to pay for this treatment? We don't have money." The other half of my face was unfamiliar. Black eye, sprinkles of gunpowder, no smile, no frown, no movement at all. Half of my hair had been shaved off. I thought the Taliban had done this to me too, but the nurse said the doctors shaved it for surgery. I believed in my strength. I believed I could get out of the hospital and run like a wolf, fly like an eagle. About 6 weeks after I first landed in UK, the doctors decided to tackle my facial paralysis. To do this, they cut into my face again and tried to stitch my severed facial nerve back together, hoping it would eventually regrow and facilitate movement. 9 years after being shot, I'm still recovering from just one bullet. Malala's recovery was nothing short of remarkable. Just months after the attack, she returned to school, this time in the UK. But her journey didn't stop there. What could have been the end of her story became the start of an even larger mission. In 2013, Malala and her family established the Malala Fund, a charity focused on championing education for girls worldwide. Drawing from her personal experiences, Malala turned her pain into purpose, advocating for the millions of girls who are denied the right to learn. The Malala Fund quickly became a beacon of hope for girls worldwide. Through partnerships, grants, and advocacy campaigns, the organization has worked tirelessly to break down the barriers that prevent girls from accessing education, whether it's poverty, war, or discriminatory laws. In the same year, Malala published her memoir, I Am Malala, sharing her story with the world in her own words. The book not only chronicled her harrowing experience, but also served as a rallying cry for change, inspiring millions to join the fight for education. Since its inception, the Malala Fund has expanded its reach, supporting projects in countries like Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Syria. By amplifying the voices of girls and supporting local advocates, Malala has made it clear: education is not just a right, but a tool for empowerment and change. Malala's work has earned her countless accolades, including the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014, making her the youngest recipient in history. But she remains steadfast in her mission, reminding the world that there's still so much more to do. Education has the power to transform lives, and the Malala Fund is at the forefront of making that change a reality. Every girl deserves the chance to learn, to dream, and to shape her future. Through this fundraiser, we can help make that happen. Whether it's a small contribution or simply spreading the word, every effort counts. You can donate directly, or if you'd like to join me in supporting education for girls worldwide, you can visit my Malala fundraiser here. Your support, whether it's through a donation or sharing the link, means the world to me. Thank you for joining me today for this special edition of StoryEscape.